Greetings Pathfinders, I'm Vulkk, and with this video I would like to share with you some tips, tricks, suggestions and advices on how to get a head start in Mass Effect Andromeda, the brand new gem or game if you prefer from BioWare for this year. But before that, I would actually like to invite you to check the other content on my channel, just in case you're stumbling upon this video by random event or searching through YouTube. And in case you're stressed by my accent, this same version of that guide is available in written form on my website vulkk.com. Link is down below in the description. Now, let's take a look at what the game actually is. Mass Effect Andromeda is an open-world, third-person action RPG with heavy emphasis on free-form exploration and story. Despite the first negative reviews and some fans raging about the ugly and weird characters animations and the complete lack of lip-syncing, the game's innovative for Mass Effect series gameplay and free-form exploration are a huge hit in the right spot, and they can surely keep you glued to the screen for hours and days. Being fourth game in a series is never easy when it comes to attracting new players. That's why BioWare's developers decided to make a fresh start, a reboot if you like. The new game will give you a fresh chance to start some 634 years after the original events of Mass Effect 2, with brand new characters and stories and worlds to explore. Some mechanics and systems have been removed, others have been implemented in their new form and new version, while the core is still pure Mass Effect experience, and that's a perfect match for every fan, I think. First, we begin with training. Training is something you have to choose during character creation. You have 6 basic options: security, biotic, technician, leader, scrapper, and operative. Each one of those will give you 1 starting power and 2 unlocked skills, which means you get to start with those based on your training without having to spend a single skill point. The good news is that later on, if for example you start as a technician but decide to invest deeply into biotics because that's the kind of gameplay you discover to be perfect for yourself, you're absolutely free to do so at a very minimum amount of sacrifice. And even better news is that you can respec your skill points on board of your ship, and the first few respecs are actually quite cheap, so you're definitely encouraged to experiment a lot. As we've established already, Mass Effect Andromeda doesn't have the standard version of classes, like in the previous games of the series and in every standard MMO game or RPG game. Instead, what we have here is called profiles. There are 7 profiles available, and the game will tell you what they are and how you receive them very early on throughout one of the main missions, so you don't have to worry too much about those. So, profiles are meant to enhance your current abilities and give you extra boost to your preferred and favorite gameplay style. They can be swapped and they aren't permanent choice. A very brief overview of what these profiles are. Soldiers are pure combat specialists. No one is tougher or more effective at taking down enemies with gunfire. Each one of these profiles have one specific passive boost, and in case of the soldier, it's the marksman's focus. The engineers are experts in both offensive and defensive tech powers. Adepts are biotic specialists capable of disabling and killing enemies with powerful Mass Effect fields. Sentinels are unique combatants bringing a mix of tech and biotic abilities to the battlefield. Vanguard have an aggressive combat style, preferring to close in on enemies and deal heavy damage at short range. The infiltrators are tech and combat specialists who typically focus on precise hits and avoidance. The last one, which I personally consider to be the most fun and of course the most complicated to play profile, not really recommended for beginner players, is the Explorer. The Explorer is a jack of all trades with abilities ranging from combat and tech to biotics. Skills and ability points. There are 3 basic categories for skills. They are selected as combat, biotics, and techs. Depending on where you spend your skill points, which are granted upon leveling up, and in huge chunks, by the way, you will be able to level up both active and passive abilities in the form of these trees that are quite familiar to probably old veteran Mass Effect players. In the skill window, you will notice that some abilities and powers can produce a combo for a greater effect. This isn't new to Mass Effect. Ability combos were part of the series in the past. What combo means is that you can use one ability to trigger the combo and another one to finish it, thus receiving special bonus effect like significantly more damage dealt to your target, causing it to burn, freeze, and other similar effects like that. A very quick example I would like to give you is from the biotics. We will pick Singularity, which is a prime for a combo, which means If you use Singularity first, and then, for example, you go and use Concussive Shot, Singularity will activate the combo, and Concussive Shot will detonate the combo, granting huge amount of bonus to your damage dealt to the target that you have selected. On board of the Tempest, for example, when you open the research center, you will meet left side research and right side development for the R&D terminal. In the research part, which is the left part, you will have a chance to research technology from three different types. Milky Way technology, which is the most standard conventional weapons that we know. Helios technology, or Remnant technology, which is an unknown alien race. All of these you will be able to research through your research data points. The way you earn these points is while traveling and probing in space or down in on the planets. You will have to use your scanner. Sometimes the main missions provoke you to use your scanner. Sometimes you have to do that on your own. The special object that you will discover will grant you, depending on the type of an object and the location, they will grant you different kinds of research data points where you will be able to spend to research. Now, for a quick example, if you want to research a weapon from the Milky Way technology, currently I have 85 available points, which means I will most likely not be able to craft pretty much anything. But just in case I wanted to craft, I will have to start from the top, tier 1. Then to craft tier 2, I need to craft tier 1 first, and so on and so on. When you have researched whatever schematics you want, you're able to go back, clicking escape obviously, to the development cycle. And right here in the middle, you will see for each one of the items that you want to craft, we have different categories available up here in the middle. And down below, you have the required crafting materials. Crafting materials are obtained through probing on the planets or in space, and just mining resources as you journey through the new worlds. You are allowed to augment, but I will not go into too much detail as to what augments are. Again, you can research and craft those augments, and then you put them into other items that you want to craft, granting you some special unique bonuses to the items that you've crafted. Mods, unlike in other games, aren't permanent here. They can be inserted in weapons or armor to boost in a very specific way, and they act similarly to augments, but you can just replace those mods later on if you want, whereas augments are actually used once and consumed upon crafting the item. Gameplay innovations and new features. This section is more aimed at old Mass Effect fans and people who have played some or all of the original 3 games. The worlds in Andromeda. One of the biggest differences to the original trilogy is that here all planets and worlds are much bigger and wider. They allow for deep and extensive exploration. Main missions will only lead you through a small part of the total number of available quests, places, and experiences. The rest is entirely up to you to discover. Go above and beyond. Don't leave a stone unturned. Interesting rewards and situations await on each step you make that doesn't follow the main path. The jump jet. I don't know about you, but I've always missed the ability to jump in Mass Effect 2 and 3, not so much in 1. Now, this is possible, and not just that, but it's an important part of the game as well. Pretty much everything can be jumped onto or over. The vertical aspect in Andromeda is very real and well implemented. The jump jet isn't special ability, you get it from the very first beginning of the game. It has particularly no cooldown. I highly advise you to use it often and a lot. Jumping and holding the right mouse button will allow Ryder to hover in air for a few seconds. Dodging, which is performed by default with the middle scroll, or the scroll button I should say, while in the air will extend your jump time and distance in case you want to jump further. The autocover mechanic is something really controversial for me, at least for now. Not because it's bad, but because I need to get more used to it. There is no need to press a special button if you want to go into cover now. The ability to crouch is now also automatic. The game recognizes objects that can serve as cover automatically, and as soon as you approach them with your weapon out, not holstered, Ryder will automatically go into cover and even crouch. That's also valid for the covers that are low, closer to the ground. It does all of these things automatically, which speeds up the game significantly, I should say. The supply crates and ammo. There is no ammo to be looted from corpses in Andromeda. Instead, spread in strategic locations, you will find supply crates when you journey throughout the new worlds on the ground. When you approach them, all of your ammo and abilities will be automatically refilled. Crates can have different contents actually. For example, some will also be able to heal your character. There is no self-healing in Andromeda, so Medigel is a thing of the past. Maps and navigation. Space exploration is done in a familiar enough way to the Mass Effect 2 and 3 systems. You can travel from one place to another, explore planets, or find and probe various objects right in space, such as damaged ships and asteroid fields, for example, in hopes to finding crafting materials or something else. Traveling, unfortunately, in space and between planets and places is a little bit tedious and slow. The planetary maps are very similar to what you're watching on your screen. For example, this is the Tempest map. There are different objectives, main missions, side quests, places of interest, forward bases, Spread in predefined places on each planet, you will be able to deploy a forward base which will allow you to quick travel, or teleport if you prefer, directly to it from any place on that said planet while you are exploring it. Many planets and regions are hazardous, and fast traveling back to a secure camp is very handy, which allows you to replenish your life support system, for example. Most of the exploration is done driving the Nomad, unlike the driving in the old trilogy, where I have insane amount of fun time doing it here. The vehicle has two modes, one for fast movement or plain terrain, and one for climbing steep slopes and a much slower speed. Be sure to use them both wisely. The Nomad can, of course, also be upgraded and improved. And before I close up with this video, a few very basic and uncut categorized tips that I've gathered throughout these first 15 hours of my experience in Andromeda. In terms of experience gain, the bigger portion comes from completing missions and quests, not from killing aliens and monsters, even though it's fun. Quick advice, learn Barricade if you plan to skip most of the side quests, because some of the tougher bosses will definitely one-shot you. Also, get Singularity regardless if you play with biotics or not. I showed you Singularity and I explained briefly previously in this video why it is so important, because it's a very nice prime for combo for pretty much everything else. My last but also very important advice, not just for this video but in general for your whole Mass Effect Andromeda experience: talk to everybody, go everywhere, it's worth it. I don't know if I will personally get bored with doing that all the time. I don't actually know how big the game really is. I haven't finished it yet. But I have, as I've mentioned, a good amount of experience to be able to share some advices to those of you who are just starting. I hope that what I've learned and here shared with you will be useful. Let me know if you have any more tips and tricks, guys. I'll see you in the next Mass Effect Andromeda video. Bye bye. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Click the like button and help me out. Visit my website vulkk.com for daily videos and news. To help me improve and expand, consider becoming my patron with a small monthly pledge. And stay in touch by following me on Facebook and Twitter.